Welcome to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast, the place to get advice, tips, and tricks to building the life and luxury home of your dreams with 30-year business owner, designer, and builder, Julie Laughton. It all starts with a good plan. This is Julie Laughton Living.
Welcome back to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast. I'm here today to talk about what you should or shouldn't do before you start your remodel or your custom home build. Before I get started, though, just don't forget to check out my 7 simple steps, which is a handy dandy list that you can go through to let you know exactly what you're going to experience when you remodel and build a custom home. So no matter who you hire, this is going to guide you through it. It's a 7 simple steps. Just go to my website at www.julielaughton.com. Okay, so the biggest thing that you probably shouldn't do, even though a lot of people are compelled to do this because they think it's going to save them money, is owner builder. If you look up owner builder, and you look it up at any city or you walk into any city, it'll say owner builder beware. If you look up the contractor's site, it's owner builder beware, because owners, the only reason they want to play designer and play contractor is to save money. But you know what happens when you save money? It costs more money later, always. And then you hire the wrong people, because when you're out for the money budget part and you want to do it cheap and fast, which is the only way not to do it, you're going to suffer. You're going to hire the wrong people, because those people are going to seek you out too, that want it cheap. And then they're going to sell you, oh yeah, I can do it cheap. But you know what happens? They're idiots. And then it gets done wrong. And then you have to redo it. So it takes longer and it costs more if you go cheap. So I have this thing I tell my clients, which you hear it on the internet too. There's 3 ways to do things: good, fast, cheap. You can only do 2 at once, but you can't do cheap, because cheap costs more. But you can do good and fast together, but that costs more too, because you're going to maybe go too fast. And the only really way to do it is good. But if you want to go fast, that's possible, but it costs more because you're excelling the process and you're spending more time. Like your crew is going to work weekends and night and blah, blah, blah. But cheap is the one that bites you in the butt, because then you have to redo it, guaranteed, in a year or in less than 10 years, because everything falls apart. So I can't express enough, do not do owner builder, because you don't know what you're doing. And just because you own a home doesn't mean that you know how to be an architect or an interior designer or a contractor. There, I said it. It might be rude, but just because you own a house doesn't mean you know how to build it. So you need to hire professionals. I mean, really, it's a lovely process if you're guided professionally. And that's my little rant on that. So all this owner builder and clients, I hate to say it, micromanaging leads to disaster, because just like going to your doctor and telling him what blood test to order, you don't tell your doctor how to subscribe your medicine or to subscribe your health care. They tell you what you need after lots of testing and lots of observations. So it's the same with design. Nothing starts without a good plan, and that plan's developed because your designer and your architect, observe and plan according to the house needs, your needs, and all that good stuff. So if you hire the wrong person, like let's say you cheap out and you say, just let your contractor design it, or God forbid, let your interior designer play contractor and design as she goes, or, let the architect, help you do owner builder. None of that works. You got to hire the team, the architect, the interior designer. Some architects are interior designers, which is a godsend. And then you have your contractor, but there's still more people you have to interface with, like all the engineers and whatnot. But the point is, if you don't have the right person guiding you with the right team, you're toast, and it'll take longer and it'll cost more. So heads up, no owner builder. Don't recommend it. So when you start your project, you got to hire the right team. And if you don't have the right team, the person that you hire might be doing 2 things that are doing things they're not supposed to be doing. Like I mentioned before, like let's say you hire a contractor that says, oh, I got this, you don't need plans, you can make decisions later. Don't do that, because if you make a decision after construction starts, or change anything after construction starts, it delays the process and it costs more. So always, if you have the right team, you'll always be guided to make all your decisions and all your selections before construction starts, which is, again, it all starts with a good plan. The plan's complete, all the materials are on the plan. There's no more decisions after construction. And the only decisions after construction are just to enjoy the process. And maybe there's some unknowns with a remodel, which, are expected. But anybody that tries to talk you into doing it backwards or not following the steps, you're in for trouble. So don't do it. Just check out my 7 simple steps, and that tells you the order it should go in. So the first part of this whole process, once you have your team, it's like a whole interview process. It's almost like a psychological profile, because your architect's going to analyze what the house can and can't do. And then they're analyzing you. What do you want? What do you need? You always get what you need before you get what you want, because what you want might cost more, but what you need is the basics. So the thing is, you have, the process is getting your plans to match what's in your head. So in order to do that, you have to write down all your dreams and all your wants and all your needs. And the easiest way to do that is to make a list, like literally write it down, and then collect pictures, because the pictures are what start driving the design decisions and the colors and the feel and the look. But the list is what drives the space planning and where the plans really start. It's a checklist. So what are we going to put into this house and put into this lot? So we're going to have a pool, jacuzzi, outdoor room. What are we doing? So there's a whole thing in the very beginning, and it just starts with you describing what you want for your dream home. So my big recap on all this is hire the right person. If you can't find someone like me, which I don't think there's any out there that exists that do everything as one person, then you're going to have to hire a team. So don't start anything until you have your team. And that means get your architect, get your interior designer, and get your contractor day one. You want that team to be together, because the pre-construction, which no one even knows what that is, the contractor needs to be involved early to make sure the budget stays on schedule on the plans too. So get your team. Don't do owner builder. That's my advice. That's my tip for this podcast. Thank you again for joining me on one of my very important podcasts. This one's a good one to always, keep you on track, because my whole mission is do it right the first time, do it without stress. So again, to help guide you through this process, check out my 7 simple steps, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Julie Laughton Living. For more information or to connect with Julie one-on-one, visit julielaughtonliving.com. And don't forget, it all starts with a good plan.